Good morning, friends, and welcome back to the Up North house. Thanks for joining us for another update. We're getting started early this morning. This video will start outside, and we're going to be working on this new section of driveway. John's already working on some raking. This driveway, if you have been following along, was placed by our friend Jordan. He did the professional grading. He dug down about 1.5 feet below grade and extended our existing driveway on and back here. That did two things for us. Obviously, the first thing is provided a place for us to get back here and park and access what we've created over here as far as a utility area, but also it created proper drainage on this wall of our carriage house or barn. So now the water sheds more appropriately away. The material he's put in here, about 1.5 feet deep, is called AB in Arizona where we live. In some places they call it like road bed, road base, whatever. It's basically clay, sand, and gravel in equal parts. So it's very compactable. It's made to compact. It's made to go under foundations and that kind of thing. So that's what we've done here. Today is the day where we're putting a harder surface on this area so that the water will shed even more over time. It won't be a completely what they call here hot top or asphalt or blacktop, but it will be a recycled version of that so we can blend it in more readily and maintain it more. So John's working on the prep work for that, and soon enough you'll see Jordan up here. But I want to show you before we get started a little about our garden. We're now on July 25th in real time. It's been a cold one. The other day it was 49 degrees in the night. So, you know, corn not doing so great. That's okay. These are actually sunflowers. You know, they're struggling. But look at this. Just seeing this finally. I had some volunteer poppies because I didn't plant poppies here. But look at that. Just this morning. Last night he was not bloomed out. I love poppies so much, and this is orange. Color orange is very special to me. And look, there's like 30 different blooms here. I'm so excited about that. He's in the middle of my kale, and I'll take it. I love it. So there's kale right here doing well. I've got the trellises are for cucumbers. They're starting to trellis. This one in the middle is misbehaving. I keep putting him back up the trellis and he's falling down. So he might just dangle over the edge. Whatever. I've got these little tomatoes. These are actually dwarf Tommy tomatoes. I can't remember the name of them, but they're made for colder climates. This is as big as they get, about 6 inches, but they just get covered up with little tomatoes. So they've done really well. Got some chamomile. This one's actually blooming. I should harvest some of these little flowers. Little chamomile is lovely when it is fresh. Over here I have bok choy, broccoli, another tomato from my neighbor, more sunflowers, not too tall. The lettuce is about to bolt. It's doing great. We have nasturtium. If you don't know this, it's one of my favorite little salad greens. You can eat the leaves. The young leaves are more tender, and you can eat the flowers. So they taste not exactly like horseradish, but they've got kind of that little horseradishy bite, little peppery flavor. Love it. I have carrots over here. They're doing great. Also some tomatoes in there. You know, tomatoes love carrots and companion planting. Carrots are doing great. There's more chamomile here, getting ready to bloom. We got some more cucumbers and a tomato. That was a volunteer. Love volunteers. And these are the herbs. Next year, this bed will probably be all herbs because, you know, they like to take over. So things are going great. Here's our big digger. That's what Jordan's going to be using today. I have some squash over here running down the bank. And I did plant some little dwarf watermelons on this and some beans, but things keep eating those. So right now we've got a trellis for nothing. That's okay. And our little front area, ooh, nice car. Our little front area is looking good as well. So that is what the garden is looking like. Big changes since the beginning of the season. I'm loving it. I'm excited to see how this driveway turns out today, and I'll be showing you that in just a few. All right, here comes Jordan with the skid steer. He's getting started. I'm going to show you just a close-up quick of this material. This is actually recycled asphalt, or hot top as they call it here. Down in the south we call it blacktop, but it's basically the stuff our front driveway is made of. This has been taken off of some surface and it's recycled, so it's very compactable. It's been tumbled. You can see small chunks of the old road in it, but it'll basically be compactable. We can seal it next year if we want to blend it more with the driveway surface at top, and that's why he's going to be able to mold and make a little speed bump for us right there. So this is what it is that we're getting put on our road base that he put in before, and he's going to put about a 2-inch surface in there when it's all said and done. Okay, that's the first section all done. Jordan's going to get another load right now. It's already walkable and packed and hard to walk on, but he is going to be rolling it when it's all said and done. And like I said, we can seal it if we need to or want to. One of the benefits of this versus a traditional blacktop for us is that we can still adjust the grade if things shift. If there's a bad frost or some heaving and cracks and stuff, you can just come back in, roll it down very easily. It's a different situation than a traditional kind of asphalt blacktop road, but it's still a very usable, smoothable surface, and it's a great use of a recycle project. So I'm loving it. It's looking great. We'll check in with Jordan a little bit later and see what he's up to. And now we're going to see what John and I are going to get up to for the morning as well. So John and I are going to be starting our morning down in the basement. There's just a quick job for us to do down here. We have gotten our ventilation set up the way we want it. Everything's nice and stable. Our next job is to prepare for heat. We finally did receive our ductwork pieces for our new furnace. In other videos, you remember me talking about this furnace made by a company called DS Stoves down in Pennsylvania. It's an Amish made product. It is not grid dependent, meaning there's no electronics in the system. You do see a wire coming out here, and that is to a thermostat. Goes along the top of here. Thermostat is placed back in that direction so that we can keep the basement hopefully at a great normalized sort of temperature for the winter. So not grid dependent, no big expensive pieces to fix and adjust and to fiddle with. So that's right up my alley. We did have to order our ductwork special. It is a 12-inch opening on the top. We have 3 of these. I believe they're called T's because it's shaped like a T. You can see the top has 2 holes this way, 1 on the bottom. And one of these is going to be placed on the top like so. It'll be straight when we do it. That's actually pretty good. Good job, Steph. Like that. And then we'll have, the idea is that we'll have 2 on this side so that the air will be pushed basically towards all 4 corners of the basement. Our stove here, or our furnace, is actually rated to heat up to 3,500 square feet. This space in the basement is under 1,000 square feet. So our hope is just to basically push the air in general directions and not just straight up at the floor of the upstairs, so that it'll move around more efficiently. So we're going to do that part. In order to do that, we of course need the tees that we ordered. We will be using some of this general purpose foil tape. We have our 10 snips to make some crimps and kind of splice the sections together. We have some self-tapping zip-in little screws that are made for connecting ductwork. And there's the leftovers from the other project. And then I also have engine paint. The engine paint heats up to 300 degrees on a metal surface, and it's this metallic cover. The reason we got that is because in shipping, the tape used to ship this actually took off some of the paint. So we're going to patch that up so that there's no corrosion trying to happen on those surfaces. And then I'll show you what the process and the finished product looks like shortly. Okay, side one is done. These things are enormous. That's a little tricky, but I think maybe you can tell what we're doing on camera. We basically put it up where we wanted it to fit together. This is the same size. Actually, this is the same size circular opening as the base. They're all 12-inch openings, so they don't nest inside each other from the factory. So we had to splice here. We made a cut. We made 4 cuts all the way around. You can see it better on the inside maybe. So that they could, we kind of alternated in like weaving. We put 1 flange on the outside, 1 on the inside, and all the way around. And then we screwed them into place with the self-tapping ductwork screw things. And now we're going to be able to tape this around with our metal tape in order to seal that joint. So that's what we did. That's how we got it done. It's huge and enormous. So this one's sticking out on that side. The other one's gonna go in the same way. And then when the heat flows up, it'll go up and then in the directions towards the corners, like I explained earlier. So this is what it's looking like. I'll check in when we get the other side done. Okay, we got everything taped around the joints we made. I'm back here with a thermostat. This thermostat is run with a battery. I think it's a AA battery. So we'll change that at the beginning and end of every season. That way it's always nice and fresh. This is the only kind of electronic part to it. You can actually hook this to any thermostat. So if you had your smart system, which we will probably end up doing, you can do that as well. The furnace is running because we turn the thermostat to a level to make it kick on. I think I mentioned before, this is not grid dependent, but it is a standing pilot system. So it's run with propane, which we had installed in previous videos. And so the pilot is always lit. This is kind of common for furnaces, but there's no motherboard, no other electronics other than just a thermostat coming out of the side. And the way we've ducted it now, it's going to all 4 corners. You can see the little tape I hung on there is bobbing around. Oh, you can actually see the heat waves coming out in front of the light there. How neat. So this is how it works. It's very simple. There's no fan. You can hear it running now. It's very quiet, very low flow. It's warm inside here. You can feel the heat definitely inside here. It's pushing out. This is like the coolest because it's basic science. So I mentioned in a previous video, this furnace is shaped like with a pyramid or conical shape on top. That shape, as heat is down here, having this shape creates they call it, I think, a Venturi effect and a convection current. And so the heat naturally wants to rise, and the slant of the sides up here kind of chokes that heat right while it's rising and increases velocity so that it pushes itself by natural physics, you know, out into the room and the space. So it is heating. It's doing well. You can see the little tape bobbing and weaving over there still. It's doing great. I think this is going to be a great option for us. We're going to go ahead and close up the vents and see if we can get it to a normal stasis down here and see how it holds, see what else we need to do to close everything up for the season. But I am very pleased. And also, you know, I just mentioned, if you get the right angle here without the lights in the way, kind of looks like a really cool praying mantis now with these little eyeball vent things on it. So it's looking good. I'm pleased with this project. I'm going to call that done. and we're gonna move on up to the next thing on our list. So here's the next update on the driveway. It is looking amazing. It's already starting to dry out. You can see the lighter gray color coming up. And over here in the last video, we're working on this door opening, as you remember, and we're going to be creating a little speed bump. Here's the beginnings of that little speed bump here. We're of course going to bring in, he said, a special load down here to make a little bump up so that we can sculpt it just in case there's anything that wants to flow back. That should eliminate that. So we're working on that part, sculpting. He's also come around and he is putting in a little extra next to the building to create the runoff just right. I think you can see the pitch, maybe not, I don't know. We got to still bring in some more right along the edge here. You can see where it dips a little. So he's going to be sculpting that in so that there's a real good pitch right next to the building to keep that water flowing off the surface and out away from the foundation. So one more load, I'll show you what that looks like. He's also cutting in right by the edge of our actual blacktop driveway up here so that he can blend it well. You can see where he scraped it back as a hard line, and he's going to put that material in, make a little ditch there, and he's going to create a little runoff section here for us for our future little drain that we have here. We're going to be able to put some gutters on this roof right away, and then we can gutter off and use a corrugated pipe to shoot it all the way out here to our new service so the water will flow to more of a hard surface. And that is the last section of foundation that is vulnerable to water seeping in. So we're going to be hopefully all covered in by the end of these summer projects. So it is looking great. I'll show you what the very last load looks like in fast mode, and we'll check in afterwards. So here is the next look at the driveway. John's going around the edge one more time there to double pack next to the house. It's very good. It's like a firm texture, but it's almost like you're walking on one of those rubberized tracks, like at a high school or something like that when you're running track or something. It's not quite that soft, but it has that kind of moldable, softer feel to it, but also very firm, sheds water. This is the area up by the door that we repacked with that. John replaced the steps that we'll be dealing with next year, and our next project takes us into the kitchen. So we're back in the kitchen. It still exists. You haven't seen it in a while, but we've been in here. I've been working to perfect my baking without burning skills. It's going well. And the next thing on my hope list is this cabinet that we built here between the windows on the north wall. We now need to stain it back to match the other cabinetry. I've already filled all my little holes for assembly, and I need to put kind of a cap on top, a board on top that would like hang over and sort of finish the look of this a little bit. So I found the perfect board and it happens to already be in the kitchen. It's actually one of the tongue and groove boards from this cabinetry. This will be butcher block when it's all said and done. So we are removing this board, and the one in front happens to be wide enough for us to put on the top of that shelf. So we're going to be removing this, preparing this to sand and stain in place on top. We're going to be preparing this space for butcher block countertops. That involves placing this, which John reworked. I don't know if you remember weeks ago, he actually removed this carefully from the end of the cabinet that was here already. And he's now sanded that, reworked it, put it back together, and now we're ready to attach it to the end so that we have our proper dimension for our new countertop. And we also need to remove this door. You can see it has hinges on it. It was a door at one point for a potato bin. The top opens, you may remember. And so we're going to be keeping this cabinet, but we're not keeping the door. We're actually going to be putting a shelf across here so that we can wire in for a microwave to be under there. It won't be taking up counter space or anything like that. And the under area will be for bulkier items like big pots or crock pots or something like that. So we need to remove this door and save it for one more cabinet build. So a few little odds and ends in here today to get to. We'll see where the video takes us after that. But this is where we're starting for now. Here is my sanding. My main focus on sanding was this edge here where we had some saw blade marks where we trimmed this piece down with the table saw. So I got that ready and smooth. I also got my reveal holes all taken care of here, ready for some stain. And then John got the countertop space ready. He removed the old boards and we're ready to roll. And last thing is this door that he's taken off now. It's those little flathead screws that are the culprit, but everything's looking good as expected, and we'll see what comes next. So here is that board that John just removed. As you remember, hopefully it was the front board. This is the groove part of the tongue and groove. There was a section in the back, and down here is that section that notched in for that potato bin to open on this side. So we're going to need about 40 inches or so in length this way, and the depth, the width this way from the front of the cabinet we built to the wall is almost the same. So we're not going to trim that yet, but we're going to go ahead and trim this board to 42 inches to give us some extra wiggle room and work just the board portion that we're going to be using for the top plate of that shelf. This is the look at 1/2 hour of work. So I'm halfway done. That's what it started as. This is what it's looking like. I've graduated up through 3 levels of sandpaper. I started with a 40 grit. You can see that 40. That's looking good. That's nice and chompy. And then I've got the 80 grit and then finished off with the 120. So I'm gonna do this side and also that little groove on the front. And then I'll show you the next steps as far as getting it to fit into the nooks and crannies on top of the cabinet. So here is our newly sanded board in place. I kind of created a little bull nose. I matched this end over here with the sanding because there was some of that famous rat chew on this board, so it sort of matched in. So we're going to use this as the front. However, you can see I've left myself about 4 inches of wiggle room. I want this edge to finish just beyond flush with the doors on front, and the sides I want to be a little bit less than this, maybe about a 1/2 inch, a finger width overhang on the sides. So I have wiggle room on this side to trim off that edge and help myself deal with this little bit of warp that you can see. The other thing I need to manage is this space in the back. When I trim the back width, I need to account for the distance from the actual wall and not the trim, so that I can create a little notch in for this space so there won't be a gap back here when we're all done and finished. So we're gonna work on getting those measurements, cutting the new shape, and fitting it into place. All right, I'm here on the top of the cabinet with our newly sized board. I've placed it so that I can create this little notch here. I measured the depth of my molding is 1 inch, so I measured back 1 inch from the edge and marked it and created these marks so that I can then make a little section that I need to remove with my jigsaw there. So I'll do that on the other side and then cut everything, put it back in place, see how the fit is, and then we will go from there. So back in the kitchen, now you can see what we're getting at here. Everything fits in snug as a bug into our little notches here, and we're against the wall on this side. So we have our board. It comes out just beyond the cabinet door. This one kicks out just a teeny. We actually use this as our kind of guide as to how far to bring this, because this door is a little bit warped with age. So that is where we wanted it. Has a slight overhang the further you get to the edge, and I'm loving the look of it. So now we're going to attach this and stain. Woohoo! Well, there you have it. One pantry cabinet built, stained, and ready for polyurethane. I even stained the inside of the doors as well as the insides of the cabinets and the shelves, so I can polyurethane those and make them sealed and ready and cleanable for the future. So I love the way the top plate turned out. I think it looks like it was meant to be there, and everything shuts nicely, and I just love it. I don't know what to say. I think it's the greatest pantry shelf ever built. I hope you enjoyed seeing the process as much as I enjoyed sharing it with you. I hope you enjoyed this video. That'll be it for this update. And I will plan to catch you here next time on Thursday morning, same time, same place, to see what is happening next at the Up North house.